Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Tonight, the recitals are Pandava Arjun Prabhu doing the Sanskrit and Kirti Sundari Mataji doing the English translation. We are reading Canto 2, Chapter 3, verses 1 to 25. So, Prabhu, when you're ready, please start with invocation. Hare Krishna.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Verse 1. Shirishukau Vacha Evameta Nigaditam Prishtavan Yad Bhavan Mama Nrinam Yad Mriya Mananam Manusheshu Manishanam.
Sri Sukadev Goswami said, Maharaj Parikshit, as you have inquired from me as to the duty of the intelligent man who is on the threshold of death, so I have answered you.
Brahma Varchasa Kamasto Yajeta Brahmana Patim Indram Indriya Kamasto Prajakama Prajapatin Devim Mayam to Shri Kamas Tejas Kamo Vibhavasum Vasukamo Vasun Rudran Virya Kamo Atha Viryavan Anadya Kamasto Aditim Svarga Kamo Adite Sutan Vishvandevan Rajya Kama Sadhyansam Sadhako Visham Ayushkamo Ashvino Devo Pushtikama Ilam Yajet Pratishtakama Purusho Radasilo Kamataro Rupabhikamo Gandharvan Strikamo Apsara Urvashim Adhipatya Kama Sarvasham Yajeta Parameshtanam Yagyam Yajet Yashaskama Koshakama Prachetasam Vidyakamastu Girisham Dampatyartha Umam Satim.
Translation. One who desires to be absorbed in the impersonal Brahmajyoti effulgence should worship the master of the Vedas, Lord Brahma or Brihaspati, the learned priest. One who desires powerful sex should worship the heavenly king Indra, and one who desires good progeny should worship the great progenitors called the Prajapatis. One who desires good fortune should worship Durga Devi, the superintendent of the material world. One desiring to be very powerful should worship fire, and one who aspires only after money should worship the Vasus. One should worship the Rudra incarnations of Lord Shiva if he wants to be a great hero. One who wants a large stock of grains should worship Aditi. One who desires to attain the heavenly planets should worship the sons of Aditi. One who desires a worldly kingdom should worship Viswadeva. And one who wants to be popular with the general mass of population should worship the Sadhya demigod. One who desires a long span of life should worship the demigods known as the Ashwini Kumaras, and a person desiring a strongly built body should worship the earth. One who desires stability in his post should worship the horizon and the earth combined. One who desires to be beautiful should worship the beautiful residents of the Gandharva planet. And one who desires a good wife should worship the Apsaras and the Urvashi society girls of the heavenly kingdom. One who desires domination over others should worship Lord Brahma, the head of the universe. One who desires tangible fame should worship the personality of Godhead. And one who desires a good bank balance should worship the demigod Varuna. If one desires to be a greatly learned man, he should worship Lord Shiva. And if one desires a good marital relation, he should worship the chaste goddess Uma, the wife of Lord Shiva. Hare Krishna.
Dharmarta uttama shlokam tanto tanvan pitrin yachet rakshakama punyajanan ojaskamo marudganan.
One should worship Lord Vishnu or his devotee for spiritual advancement in knowledge and for protection of heredity and advancement of a dynasty. One should worship the various demigods.
Rajyakamo manundevan niritim tu abhicharan yachet kamakamo yachet somam akama purusham param.
One who desires domination over a kingdom or an empire should worship the Manus. One who desires victory over an enemy should worship the demons, and one who desires sense gratification should worship the moon. But one who desires nothing of material enjoyment should worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Akama sarva kama va moksha kama udaradhi tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param.
A person who has broader intelligence, whether he be full of all material desire, without any material desire, or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the Supreme Whole, the Personality of Godhead.
Etavan eva yajatam ihani shreya sodaya bhagavatya chalo bhavo yad bhagavata sangataha.
All the different kinds of worshippers of multi-demigods can attain the highest perfectional benediction, which is spontaneous attraction unflinchingly fixed upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, only by the association of the pure devotee of the Lord.
Yanam yat aprati nivrita gunarmit chakram atma prasada yuta yatras gunesho sangaha kevalya samata pathastu atha bhakti yogaha ko nivrito hari kadha suratim na kuryat.
Transcendental knowledge in relation with the Supreme Lord Hari is knowledge resulting in the complete suspension of the waves and whirlpools of the material modes. Such knowledge is self-satisfying due to its being free from material attachment and being transcendental. It is approved by authorities. Who could fail to be attracted?
Shaunaka uvacha iti abhivyahritam raja nishamya bharatarashabha kim anyat prishtavan bhuyo vayasakyam rishim kavim.
Sonaka said, the son of Vyasadeva, Srila Sukadev Goswami, was a highly learned sage and was able to describe things in a poetic manner. What did Maharaj Parikshit again inquire from him after hearing all that he had said?
Etachshu shuru shatam vidvan sutano rahase bashitom kadahahari katvardarka satam syu sadase dhruvam.
O learned Sutta Goswami, please continue to explain such topics to us because we are all eager to hear. Besides that, topics which result in the discussion of the Lord Hari should certainly be discussed in the assembly of devotees.
Savai bhagavato raja pandaveyo maharatha balakridanai kakridan krishna kridam ya adate.
Can you move it up, please? Maharaj Parikshit, the grandson of the Pandavas, was from his very childhood a great devotee of the Lord. Even while playing with dolls, he used to worship Lord Krishna by imitating the worship of the family deity.
Vayasakisha bhagavan vasudeva parayana rugaya gunodara satam surhi samagame.
Please, can you move it up? Sukadev Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, was also full in transcendental knowledge and was a great devotee of Lord Krishna, son of Vasudeva. So there must have been discussion of Lord Krishna, who is glorified by great philosophers and in the company of great devotees.
Ayuraharati vaipamsam udyan astam chayan aso tasyarte yat kshano nita utama shloka vartaya.
Both by rising and by setting, the sun decreases the duration of life of everyone, except one who utilizes the time by discussing topics of the all-good personality of Godhead.
Tarava kim na jivante, vastra kim na shvasanti uta, na khadante na mehanti, kim grame pashavo pare.
Do the trees not live? Do the bellows of the blacksmith not breathe? All around us, do the beasts not eat and discharge semen?
Shvaivit varahoshtra kharei, samstuta purusha pasho, nayat karana pathopeto, jatu nama gadagraja.
Men who are like dogs, hogs, camels, and asses praise those men who never listen to the transcendental pastimes of Lord Sri Krishna, the deliverer from evils.
Bileba torukrama vikramanye, na shirinvanta karana patena rasya, jihvasati dardure keva suta, na chopagayate uragaya gadhaha.
One who has not listened to the messages about the prowess and marvelous acts of the personality of Godhead and has not sung or chanted loudly the worthy songs about the Lord is to be considered to possess ear holes like the holes of snakes and a tongue like the tongue of a frog.
Hara parampata kirita jushtam, api utamangam na namen mukundam, shavokaro no kurute saparyam, harerla satkanchana kankanova.
The upper portion of the body, though crowned with a silk turban, is only a heavy burden, if not bowed down before the personality of Godhead, who can afford mukti, freedom, and the hands, though decorated with glittering bangles, are like those of a dead man, if not engaged in the service of the personality of Godhead, Hari.
Barahaite te nayane naranam, lingani vishnorna nirikshato Padonrinam taundruma janma bhajo, shatrani nanuvrajato hareryau.
The eyes which do not look at the symbolic representations of the personality of Godhead Vishnu, His forms, name, quality, etc. are like those printed on the plumes of the peacock, and the legs which do not move to the holy places where the Lord is remembered are considered to be like tree trunks.
Джаванчаво Бхагаватангриреном Наджату Мартьо Абилабхета Ясту Shri Vishnu Padya Manujastu Lasya Shvasan Shavoyastu Naveda Gandham.
The person who has not at any time received the dust of the feet of the Lord's pure devotee upon his head is certainly a dead body. And the person who has never experienced the aroma of the tulsi leaves from the lotus feet of the Lord is also a dead body, although breathing.
Tasmashma Saram Hridayam Badidam Yadgrihya Manair Harinama Dhiyai Na Vikriye Tadha Yada Vikaro Nitrejalam Gatra Ruhesha Harsha.
Certainly, that heart is steel framed. Please, can you move it up? Certainly, that heart is steel framed, which, in spite of one's chanting the holy name of the Lord, please, can you move it up? Certainly, that heart is still framed, which, in spite of one's chanting the holy name of the Lord with concentration, does not change when ecstasy takes place. Tears fill the eyes, and the hairs stand on end.
Abhi Dhedhi Angamano Anukulam Nabhasha Se Bhagavata Pradhanaha Yat Ahavya Vyasakir Atma Vidya Visharada Niripatim Sattva Prishtaha.
Please, can you move it up? O Sutta Goswami, your words are pleasing to our minds. Please, therefore, explain this to us as it was spoken by the great devotee Sukadev Goswami, who is very expert in transcendental knowledge and who spoke to Maharaj Parikshit upon being asked. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much, and please forgive me for all mistakes made.
Hare Krishna, Pandavajana Prabhu and Kirti Mataji, really nicely recited. Thank you. Thank you so much again for assembling, I'm sure, on this really important day from various perspectives. From a Western perspective, it is Valentine's Day. From a Hindi calendar perspective, it is Vasant Panchami. From a Vaishnav perspective, there is so many people's appearance day and disappearance day. So I'm sure you would have noticed it is appearance day of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami, appearance day of Sri Raghunandan Thakur, appearance day of Sri Pundarik Vidyanidhi, disappearance day of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, appearance day of Srimati Vishnupriya Devidasi, consort of Lord Chaitanya. So it's such an important day on which I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to come and say something. I'll beg for forgiveness as you know, I have no knowledge or realizations. I'm trying to repeat what I've heard in the various lectures. So please give me your blessings that I can say something that's useful, and please forgive me for any mistakes well in advance. I will, and I mean, what a day! Like Valentine's Day is supposed to be day of love, and what we are studying is love, how to love our Lord and the devotees. So it is still very appropriate. And Vasant Panchami, which is essentially the start of the spring season, and we know like there's never a better time to start something, especially anything to do with devotional service. So today we're reading 3 verses which are really within the chapter, as we know, which is pure devotional service. It is the epitome of devotional service. How across all levels of devotion service, this is it. If we can follow this, then our life will be successful. I mean, we're so fortunate that we've got access to Srimad Bhagavatam and Srila Prabhupada's translations, and so many people who have given us so much detail about these verses, and we're really grateful. So maybe we can read the verses and Srila Prabhupada's purports. They're big purports. In fact, each of these verses could be a long class in its own right, but I'll try to go through it in summary, and then we can discuss. I hope that's fine. So 2:3:23. जीवन च वो भागवतान् गृहेणुं न जातु मर्त्यो अभि लभेत यस्तु श्री विष्णु पदया मनुजस्तुलस्या स्वसंचवो yastu navedagandham. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The person who has not at any time received the dust of the feet of the Lord's pure devotee upon his head is certainly a dead body. And the person who has never experienced the aroma of the tulsi leaves from the lotus feet of the Lord is also a dead body, although breathing. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. According to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, I mean, you would notice that Srila Prabhupada mentions Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur everywhere in its purport, and we are so fortunate. Like today is his disappearance day. He's also called Rasikacharya. He is the one, as His Grace Karthik Chand Prabhu will say, he is the one who gives really sweet commentary on all verses. So all glories to him. According to him, the breathing dead body is a ghost. When a man dies, he is called dead. But when he again appears in a subtle form, not visible to our present vision, and yet acts, such a dead body is called a ghost. Ghosts are always very bad elements, always creating a fearful situation for others. Similarly, the ghost-like non-devotees have no respect for the pure devotees, nor for the Vishnu deity in the temples, creating a fearful situation for the devotees at all times. The Lord never accepts any offering by such impure ghosts. There is a common saying that one should first love the dog of the beloved before one shows any loving sentiment for the beloved. The stage of pure devotion is attained by sincerely serving a pure devotee of the Lord. The first condition of devotional service to the Lord is therefore to be a servant of a pure devotee, and this condition is fulfilled by the statement, reception of the dust of the lotus feet of a pure devotee who has also served another pure devotee. That is the way of pure disciplic succession or devotional parampara. Maharaj Rahugana inquired from the great sage Jad Bharat as to how he had attained such liberated stage of a Paramahamsa. In answer, the great saint replied as follows: Rahugana ete tapasana yatina chejaya nirvapanat grihadva na chanda saneva jalagdi suryer vinamahat padaya raja abhishekam. O King Rahugana, the perfectional stage of devotional service, or the Paramahamsa stage of life, cannot be attained unless one is blessed by the dust of the feet of great devotees. I'll repeat. O King Rahugana, the perfectional stage of devotional service, which is what we are all trying to achieve, or the Paramahamsa stage of life, cannot be attained. It's very categorical, cannot be attained unless one is blessed by the dust of the feet of great devotees. So such is the importance of great devotees in our life. It is never attained by tapasya, austerity, the Vedic worshipping process, acceptance of the renounced order of life, the discharge of duties of household life, the chanting of the Vedic hymns, or the performance of penances in the hot sun, within cold water, or before blazing fire. In other words, Lord Sri Krishna is the property of his pure, unconditional devotees. And as such, only the devotees can deliver Krishna to another devotee. Krishna is never obtainable directly. Lord Chaitanya therefore designated himself as the Gopi, as Gopi Bhartu Padakamayor Dasa Dasa Anudas, or the most obedient servant of the servants of the Lord, who maintains the gopi damsels of Vrindavan. A pure devotee, therefore, never approaches the Lord directly, but tries to please the servant of the Lord's servant, and thus the Lord becomes pleased. And only then can the devotee relish the taste of the tulsi leaf stuck on his lotus feet. In the Brahma Samhita, it is said that the Lord is never to be found by becoming a great scholar of Vedic literatures, but he is easily approachable through his pure devotee. In Vrindavan, all the pure devotees pray for the mercy of Srimati Radharani, the pleasure potency of Lord Krishna. Srimati Radharani is the tender-hearted feminine counterpart of the Supremo, resembling the perfection stage of the worldly feminine nature. Therefore, the mercy of Radharani is available very readily to the sincere devotees. And once she recommends such a devotee to Lord Krishna, the Lord at once accepts the devotee's acceptance into his association. The conclusion is therefore one should be more serious about seeking the mercy of the devotee than that of the Lord directly. And by doing so, by the goodwill of the devotee, the natural attraction for the service of the Lord will be revived. Such an amazing purport by Srila Prabhupada. The next purport is also very long, so if it is okay, I'll read the shloka and the translation for the next two, and then we will discuss in the interest of time, if that's okay. Tadasma saram hidayam batedam yadgrihama ner harinam dheye na vikriyetat yada vikaro netre jalam gatra ruheshu harsha. Certainly, translation by Srila Prabhupada, certainly that heart is steel framed, which, in spite of one's chanting the holy name of the Lord with concentration, does not change when ecstasy takes place. Tears fill the eyes and the hairs stand on end. It's amazing. Certainly, that heart is steel framed. It's talking about my heart for sure, in spite of one's chanting the holy name of the Lord with concentration, which is not always there, but at least even if we were to chant the name with concentration, does not change when ecstasy take place, tears fill the eye and hair stand on the end. Again, this is very, very advanced stage of spiritual progression, which I'm sure a number of you are already there. Then verse 25. Atha bhidehi angamano anukulam prabhashashe bhagavat pradhana yadaha veya sakhiratma vidya visharado Nripatim Sadhu Prishta. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. O Sutta Goswami, your words are pleasing to our minds. Please, therefore, explain this to us, as it was spoken by the great devotee Shukdev Goswami, who is very expert in transcendental knowledge, and who spoke to Maharaj Parikshit upon being asked. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmalitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam dadati swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhudev cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatare Shatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Thank you again. Please give me your blessings. So where we are in this chapter, it is, as I was saying, it is the, he's been, Shona Krishi has been building it up to getting to pure devotional service in terms of questioning Sutta Goswami and going from verse 20 to 24. In a way, he's doing limb by limb description of a animalistic person, right? So he goes into ear holes, then tongue, upper body, hands, eyes, legs, the person. And today, verse like the person, the heart, and eventually, he asks the question, please explain to me. So anyone wants to say, what does he say? If someone's is not if someone is animalistic, what are their ear holes compared to? Anyone wants to unmute and say?
The snakes. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, holes of snakes, correct.
Snakes.
So ear holes are compared to holes of snakes. Tongue is compared to tongue of a frog. Upper body is compared it is only a heavy burden. Hands with bangles are those of a dead man. Eyes is plumes of the peacock. Then he gets into legs are like tree trunks, unless you've been going to the holy places. The person is certainly a dead body unless one is receiving the dust of the feet of pure devotees in his hand and experiencing the tulsi aroma from Lord's feet. And the heart is steel frame. And if it is not transforming even after having chanted the Lord's holy name. And then he asks Sukdev Goswami or he asks Sutta Goswami to talk about the Hari Katha that transpired between Sukhdev Goswami and Parikshit Maharaj. So I think if we go through the three verses in 23, the importance of associating and serving a pure devotee is emphasized. And we know that Krishna himself emphasizes it. I was listening to a lecture where Prabhu was saying, Krishna says in Adi Puran to Arjuna, that whoever says that they are my pure devotee are actually not my devotee, but one who says they are the devotee of my devotee are the real devotee, because they are able to appreciate devotion in the life of others. And he also says to Uddhav in the 11th canto that, more than worshipping me, worship of pure devotees pleases me. Again, if you want to please Krishna, and as Prabhupada was explaining in the purport, um, if we please Srimati Radharani, she will take our recommendation into Krishna. And how do we get to Srimati Radharani? By pleasing Lord Chaitanya. How do we please Lord Chaitanya? Is through Lord Nityananda. How do we please Lord Nityananda? Is through the Guru Parampara, and especially Srila Prabhupada. How do we please Srila Prabhupada? Is pleasing the senior devotees and his disciples. And then how do we please them? Is pleasing the other devotees. And I think the thing goes on. It's all the cycle of pleasing the other devotees, and then we know that we will be pleasing Krishna. But if we directly try to please Krishna, it's very hard. And he explains to Uddha why pleasing pure devotees pleases me. He says, um, because Krishna is busy serving pure devotees. Krishna is himself setting an example. We all know Krishna was serving Pandavas so many times. He served Yudhishthira Maharaj when they had the Rajsuya Yagya. He served Sudama, Brahman, when he came, and how we all know the story as to how he served him very nicely along with Mother Rukmini. We know how he acts as the Parthasarthi for Arjuna himself. So, Krishna is showing by example how he's serving, where it is, he becomes a chariot driver, which is not the most exalted position, but he accepts the position of a chariot driver of his devotee. And we all know, I mean, he serves like even Uttara when she comes running to Krishna to say, save me, save me. So he's saving them, he's serving them all the time. So he sets himself as an example. I was thinking of the importance of the lotus feet of the Vaishnavas, and clearly we all know the story of Ganga Devi and how she came to the planet Earth. Anyone wants to say? Quickly unmute it. Who was the king who brought Ganga Devi?
Bhagirath, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Bhagirath, correct. So we all know that he wanted Ganga Devi to appear on this planet Earth, and he does really intense austerities to please her. And Ganga Devi is pleased, but she says there are two problems in my coming to planet Earth. One is that, when I'll come to the planet Earth, my force will be so much that the Earth planet itself will get dislocated from its orbit and go somewhere. So I think that's the first problem, because I will come with so much weight, so much force. And then the second problem is everyone will wash their sin, right? Because um, I'm such that anyone who would go and take a bath um, will their sins will be washed. So how do we address these two problems? And of course, we all know that how Bhagirath Maharaj goes and prays to Lord Shiva to accepts Mother Ganga in his hair or hair locks. And then, but what about the problem of sins? And then said that how that is solved is when Vaishnavas will place their feet, or they place their feet in Ganga Devi, it purifies her again. So the Vaishnava's lotus feet, which are glorified in this verse, are so important that even Mother Ganga, who washes everyone's sins, waits for Vaishnavas to come, and just by touching their lotus feet, she feels that her sins are gone, or all the sins which people have washed in her go away. It's so amazing. Narottam Das Thakur, we know, like he is in his so many poems, and he talks about lotus feet of pure Vaishnava as treasure of Mother Earth. Srila Prabhupada as well says the same. I think we know the story of Narad Muni, isn't it? Like Narad Muni was a small boy, son of a maid servant, and how he became Narad Muni was by the service of Vaishnavas. It was the time of Chaturmasya. There were these Vaishnavas who were staying near him. He served them so nicely, had their uchishta, and based on that, in his next life, in that life and next life, he made astronomical progress. And imagine, like, he's the same Narad Muni goes and blesses almost most of the devotees who had their journey in this in Srimad Bhagavatam. Like Narad Muni is their Guru Maharaj, and it's amazing how he got transformed by serving the Vaishnavas. This is another story which I find amazing is of Jagannath Das Babaji. He spent most of his time between Vrindavan and Mayapur. And when he was in Vrindavan, once, I think when he used to go for Madhukari every few days, I think every 3 days, and he took Madhukari from one of the sweepers in Vrindavan, and all the other saints, they got really upset with Babaji. And they said, why did you take the Madhukari from a person of a lower caste, especially a sweeper? They're very unclean. And they were really upset with Babaji. So Jagannath Das Babaji got them together, and they said, who is the king of Vrindavan? They said, well, Krishna. Krishna is the king of Vrindavan. Said, who is bigger than Krishna in Vrindavan? They all said, oh, Srimati Radharani, she's so merciful. He said, who is most dear to Srimati Radharani? They said, well, all the Brajavasis or Gopis, and then Brajvasis, and then eventually he said, well, who is bigger than the Brajvasis themselves? And they said, well, the lotus feet of the Brajvasis. And then he said, the dust in the feet of the Brajvasis is even greater than them. And this sweeper is taking bath in the dust of those devotees all day because he's sweeping the dust of Sri Vrindavan Dham. And as a result of that, he is even more, um, superior than most devotees. So there's no problem in taking prasad from him. And again, all the brahmanas were convinced, and um, they were very grateful to Babaji for showing the light to them. So again, it's so important to serve the devotees. There's another story which I was listening to in one of the lectures, which was when um, um, Lord Chaitanya went from Jagannath Puri to Vrindavan, and he was doing Sankirtan. And you know how Lord Chaitanya gets so ecstatic in his Sankirtan, and all the devotees of Vrindavan, they got together, and they were all dancing in jubilation. But there was one devotee who was showing ecstatic symptoms. Tears were flowing through his eyes, such that, Prabhu was saying how, Maharaj was saying, like how even the tears had left the marks, and the marks are more like permanent. And he was ecstatic, and his hairs were standing on its end. And Lord Chaitanya was amazed that among all the devotees, there's this one devotee who is exhibiting such ecstatic symptoms. And he goes to him straight and he says, "Have you met Srila Madhavendra Puri?" And like everyone was looking, like, what is Lord Chaitanya saying to him? And this devotee, he turns around and he says, "Yes, my lord, when Madhavendra Puri came to Shivandavan Dham, um, he came and stayed with me. We had the opportunity to serve him. And, also we had the great fortune of having remnants of Madhavendra Puri." And Lord Chaitanya said, "See, that is why, because Madhavendra Puri is the best Vaishnava on the planet, and you've served that Vaishnava. So no wonder your heart is melted and it has become so pure." Um, I mean, just serving the Vaishnavas is can change a life. I mean, we know that. On Srila Prabhupada. He changed the life of so many devotees. And he said that, Krishna, one of the devotees asked him, like, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that you have to give up all your material desires and be completely free of any material contamination before you come to me. And he said, or they said, that it is so difficult, Srila Prabhupada. And I don't know how we will ever be able to go to, the spiritual world. And Srila Prabhupada said, "Don't worry. You just follow the four regulative principles, do your sadhana nicely, and I'll hold you by the shikha and take you through the back door." There's another story with Srila Prabhupada which really touched me, which is once he was traveling in a plane, and he had his lunch box, and in that he had flat rice or poha with him, and he was about to honor it, and Srila Prabhupada would make the balls and then perfectly put it in his mouth. I think he even ate a little bit, and then there was an air hostess. And she said, "What is this?" So Srila Prabhupada explained, like, this is poha and it's made from flat rice. And she said, "Can I have it?" And the devotee sitting next to Prabhupada said, "Prabhupada, what are you going to eat, like, if you give this to her?" And Srila Prabhupada gave it to her. And she ate it all. And after a few years, I think it's after 3 years, when Srila Prabhupada came to that city, um, and he went to the temple, and that air hostess was sitting in the class. I mean, such is the um, the power of even a moment's association of a pure devotee, as it is said, sadhu sangha, sarv shastra kohe, labhen matra sadhu sangha. No, sadhu sangha, sarv shastra kohe, labhen matra sadhu sangha, sarv siddhi hoye. It's amazing. And like in every um, chapter, in every canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the importance of um, like pure devotee association and serving them is highlighted, in first canto. Even Vyasadeva, who wrote Srimad Bhagavatam, um, just having the association of Narad Muni, and he took shelter of Narad Muni who inspired him to write Srimad Bhagavatam. Um, we know Arjuna as well, like taking shelter of Krishna, but then um, so many stories. Maybe we will move to the next verse, which is more about chanting and um, how our heart is steel framed if even after chanting with concentration, we don't display static symptoms. We know the power of chanting, right? The story of um, Brigari is known to all of us, right? His heart was definitely steel framed, where before he became a devotee, he would half kill the animals. Imagine, he was a hunter by profession, but you have a choice of killing the animal and do whatever he used to do with them. But he would half kill them. And Narad Muni once was passing by and he saw so many animals really crying because they were half killed, and so many of them all over his path. And when he met Migari and just that association, um, Migari got the instruction from him to say Mara, 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 Maram. And Mara, Mara became Ram, Ram, as he continuously said. And we know when Narad Muni, that chanting the holy name melted his heart. And when Narad Muni came later on again to meet him, we know how he was so careful, and he was he was like jumping up and down so that even in his excitement to go see Narad Muni, he wouldn't hurt even an ant on his way to see his Guru Maharaj. We know other stories like how it is said, I think Srila Prabhupada also says that in the purport about Diti and Indra. So Diti's heart was very hard that she wanted to kill. She was Mausi, right? Her nephew was Indra, and she was trying to please Indra's father, Kashyap Muni, to give her a boon or give her a son that would go and kill Indra. And we know how Kashyap Muni says that if you follow this, um, devotional service, you will get it. But if you make a mistake, then the same son will be, in fact, a servant of Indra. And we know even Indra got very insecure, and he tried to kill by creating, or cutting the child into 7 pieces first in the womb, and then 7 again of each one of them. So Diti was surprised that there are 49 children she gave birth to, but then her heart had already transformed, and Indra also apologized to her to say, well, I made a mistake. And then Diti asked Indra to take all the Maruts with him because she was afraid that they will get into the wrong association if they stayed there, which is an amazing story. I was listening to a lecture by His Holiness Radhanath Maharaj, and he was saying that as we I mean, of course, he was talking about Shishtashtakam and the power of chanting the holy name, and how all the energies of the Lord are, bestowed in the holy name, and how um, all of love of Krishna, love for Krishna is also there. And he's going on to explain that in our parampara, as we have the choice to chant in a mood of sambhoga, to enjoy with Krishna, or in the mood of separation, in a very humble mood. And he was saying in our parampara, all the Vaishnavas, the mood they adopt is of humility and separation, where the mood is always of service. Whereas if you look at the Mayavadis who want to merge into the Lord, um, they and then once they merge into the Brahmajyoti, they forget about the Lord completely, and in that the service goes away. Whereas a devotee is happy um, to chant in separation, even if it means that they were to be in hell and chant the holy name. I thought that was a very important principle. I mean, of course, Maharaj goes on to explain like how uh, but at the same time, faking the sattvic vikar is a complete no in our parampara. We have to be genuine, and he was giving various examples, but one example that comes to my mind is of Thakur Haridas, when he there was a snake charmer. In India, you have the snake charmers who are there, and this snake charmer was singing the pastime as to how the snake Kalia once Krishna danced on his hood. He became a devotee, and how he had the pure love for Krishna. And when Haridas Thakur heard about this, he fainted, and then when he got up, he danced in ecstasy because he was genuinely in that situation. And then the snake charmer gave dandavat to him, and Haridas Thakur went away. And at the same time, there was another Brahmin who came, and he displayed exactly the same things that Thakur Haridas did. But the snake charmer took a stick and started to beat him. And the onlookers were saying, well, why? And he said, well, this person is pretending because they are doing it because they want the glory. So we need to be very careful that we don't fake the symptoms, but actually genuinely, if the symptoms are there, they are clearly once our heart, or my heart, which is completely steel framed, once through the chanting of the holy name, it starts to melt. Then one day maybe those symptoms will come. But like also, he was explaining that how Lord Chaitanya would not display any of that in public. Like when Lord Chaitanya met Ramananda Rai, he was very careful that he did not display some of those symptoms, because the Brahmanas around them started to, um, criticize the Lord and Ramanand Rai around that. And I mean, there's a long story how Ramanand Rai was because he was a governor and also a Shudra by caste, like people were upset, but also about the whole displaying of the ecstatic symptoms. I'll get to the last verse, which is it is amazing how we know through these verses all the way till verse 24 that Shaunak Rishi and the other, 88,000 Rishigans who were present there, they were no ordinary people. Till now, this chapter, the build up to this, you can see that Shaunak Rishi was asking questions to Sutta Goswami. he was such a knowledgeable person. He knew the essence of Srimad Bhagavatam already. He was giving all the examples and the philosophy. So like they were so learned, but still they were so humble, and they were asking Sutta Goswami to narrate to them the katha that they had heard from Sukadev Goswami narrating Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. Again, I mean, so much to learn from that even if we know a thing or two, um, we need to make sure that pride doesn't get into our mind, and we're still humble in terms of inquiring and understanding the beautiful um, process of bhakti yoga that Srila Prabhupada has given us. It's 20:43, so I'm going to stop there. Please forgive me if I've overstepped the mark or said anything which was incorrect or was not pleasing to the ears. If there are any comments or questions, we can take it or we can close it there. No? Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu
Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Thank you, Prabhuji. Very nice class. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.